the forensic tool that could change the way suspects are convicted or cleared. In 2002, the movie Minority Report gave us a glimpse into predictive crime-fighting technology.
We are arresting individuals who have broken no law.
But they will.
The fact that you prevent it from happening doesn't change the fact that it was going to happen.
In the early 90s, long before the blockbuster's release, an American neuroscientist invented a groundbreaking way to reveal what's locked away in a criminal's memory. Brain fingerprinting has been on the Australian market for the last 18 months, but we're yet to see if it will be used for crime prevention.
So what role will biometrics play in national security? Joining us with more is futurist Anders Sorman-Nilsson. Hi Anders, thank you for joining us.
G'day, good to be back.
Now, just to begin with, just explain to us how brain fingerprinting actually works.
So imagine putting on a headset for a moment in time and me sitting here with a laptop that's connected to the headset around your head, and me essentially being able to Google what kind of memories you have. And the EEG technology behind Dr. Farwell's big innovation is essentially that you can Google any memory in someone's brain. So for example, if you're interviewing an ISIS suspect, for example, you might show them pictures of a place in Syria, a training ground, for example, and if they recall that, within 3 milliseconds, there will be a little brainwave sent to my device saying, this particular individual. Now, I'm not accusing you of being in ISIS, by the way, but through this device, I'll be able to see it.
Purely an example, Exactly. Traditional lie detectors, this is what it kind of sounds like, and they can be cheated. Does brainwave technology carry that same risk?
Because it happens so quickly, in really an instant, there's no way for us behaviourally to change it. 3 milliseconds is how long it takes for this murmur signal to essentially be generated in the memory centres of the brain. So there's no way to kind of intervene unless someone, of course, innovates and has an innovation which enables us to forget our memories, which of course might be on the market in the future as well.
Yeah, so can this sort of security be applied for things like, you know, at airports and sporting stadiums in the future, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we already see the emergence of biometrics in airports. And I think this is really, really important for national security. I mean, already every year in Australia, 40,000 passports go missing or are lost. And it's not just our members of parliament that forget their passports and their foreign passports, for example, right? And this is a massive national, of course, security crisis. And of course, what Sydney Airport is now proposing is that over time, we'll move into a future where we'll replace the passport with a fingerprint or a retina scan or an iris scan instead.
Right.
So this brain fingerprinting, do you have complete faith in it as a technology?
Well, the science, according particularly to the ones who manufacture the sets, right, they say that it has less than a 1% fault rate, which means that it also has a variety of applications. According to the FBI and CIA, fingerprinting, for example, DNA samples can only be used in about 1 to 2% of all cases, whereas the people who have invented this new technology, they claim that in 85 to 90% of all crime-fighting cases that it could be used.
Amazing.
Are there any risks to personal security or privacy with this stuff?
Well, of course, there's always the kind of concern that when you reduce our human beings or our biology into metrics and numbers, that there's a sort of a dehumanisation. And we've heard that some people argue that this is the kind of equivalent to what happened to the Jews during the Holocaust, of reducing people to numbers, and this being sort of a digital biopolitical tattoo that will follow us all around the world, and that it could also be used for unintended consequences. For example, when you leave a thumbprint, imprint, for example, you could also be leaving data about potential future disease states, etc. So it could have unintended consequences as well.
Right, and we're hearing that biometric is increasingly changing the way we purchase things as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was just in Paddington, Sydney the other night, and I'd left my credit card at home. So with my Macquarie Visa card, which is also stored on Apple Pay on my mobile device, through my thumbprint, I could pay with the NFC technology that they had with the mobile POS equipment that they have in the restaurants. So this is a new way, of course, of purchasing, and according to YouGov and Visa's research, 56% of Australians today are really comfortable with paying with biometrics.
And I understand that Australia is at the forefront of microchipping as well, which is now increasingly becoming a part of our future, it seems, as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I have friends, not in Australia, but in Sweden, who are now microchipping themselves to, well, not just as a tattoo, but to store credit cards and payments and even VIP memberships. In Barcelona, for example, there's a nightclub. As opposed to having a sort of a black membership card, you enter via microchip instead.
So what is it? You put a little microchip under your skin somewhere?
Yeah.
Whereabouts?
It's the
Your
size
hand
of a
or-
grain of rice, apparently. It's tiny.
Yeah.
A nano chip, essentially.
Yeah.
Do you get a receipt?
Yeah, we'll go and be pinged straight to your mobile device, absolutely.
Big long paper receipt.
Be good when you do your tax too, because you could just walk through a machine and they go, you owe us 20 grand.
Exactly. And sometimes that is kind of an argument for going backwards in technology. So in Mexico, for example, recently when they launched and gave away mobile POS machine to mom and pop shops, they're called changarros in Mexico, to enable them to take Amex and Visa, etc., they found that people started using them, their business did better, but after a while the Mexican tax authorities got a hold of that story and started, of course, taxing people, and they went back to cash because they preferred not to be monitored.
Fair enough. Okay, it's very interesting. Anders, thank you so much for your time today.
Good to be here.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.